My name is Jonathan Grace, and I'm a Greenwood State News reporter. I'm joined here by a well-known author, a local author that you might already know. Her name is Juanita Pittman Brown. She's here to talk to you a little bit today about a couple of the books she's had, her inspiration as a writer, and a special appearance she's going to be making on one of our local television stations. Ms. Brown, how are you doing today?
Great.
Ms. Brown, first of all, what I want to find out is to give a little bit of background information on yourself.
Oh, let's see. I'm a nurse, 35 years. I've been writing 50 years. Mom, 2 sons. One's 42, one's 37. I'll say that. They won't like it, but I'll say it.
Yeah.
I am 63. I think I'm a late bloomer in my writing.
Okay, well, let's move into the books then. If you want to maybe hold up one of them and kind of show us what we're looking at here. I think the first one that you wrote was Words in Bloom.
Words in Bloom.
Maybe give us a little bit of a summary of what the book was about.
Yeah, it's a book, spans 48 years, and it certainly is the tip of the iceberg. Actually has a compilation of different writings. It has the first poem. It has a poem I actually wrote for Susan Smith and sent to her back when she was at CCI with a letter. It's called Mommy's Jewels. That's in there, and there's some in there on 9/11, some on my mother, some on nursing. There's one in there about a nurse who used to work with us in the unit, Charlotte Blackwell, who was an outstanding nurse. This book spans the 48 years, and just in talking about the book, this tree is a real tree in Clinton, South Carolina, and it's called a Judas tree, or redbud. And this poem on the back, I will tell you a little story about it, is dedicated to a lady by the name of Ola Young. She was a black minister from Lawrence, out at Rocky Springs Church, I think was the name of it. And she'd come and be my patient at Lawrence a lot of times, and she was always really nice, and I just really clicked. And so I did the book. This poem is in the book, and the publisher picked this poem for the back. Mm-hmm. And in essence of that, I took a hard copy to her family. She's bunches of grandchildren, and two daughters, and they sat there and cried. And
so a little bit of everything is in there for anybody that wants to read it. I mean, yeah. Everybody, different walks of life, whatever they want to do.
Oh yeah.
Everything's in that Words in Bloom. So let's talk about the second book now, What a Mother Says. I think a lot of people know what their mothers say, but a lot of times they don't listen to them. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
How true. This one, my son, who is 37, said, "Mom, I'm running out of bathroom reading material, and I would love you to do a book like Life's Little Instruction Book." So that's how this book came about. And I was in Charlotte, where he lives, and I said, "I don't know what to title the book." And my sister was with me, and my son had said, "Well, how about What a Mother Says?" And I said, "Well, I don't know." My sister says, "That's the title." And so that became the title of this book. And a young boy from Abbeville, Dylan Addis, did the artwork in this book. He goes to Piedmont Tech. He's very, very talented. And a tie-in from that book to this book is I wrote my first poem in Nettie Young's class, and then she critiqued this book, so her quote is on the back.
Okay.
So that was awesome for me. I also dedicated this book to my youngest son, Kevin, Nettie Young, my typing teacher, because I hated typing, Katrine Pitts, and also my English teacher, Frances Sheely, in Clinton, South Carolina, where I graduated in 1964. So without the typing, the English, the love of writing, I would not be who I am.
Well, talk to us a little bit about, you said you're going to be appearing on WSPA. Talk about a little bit more what you're going to be doing when you appear on the show, and talk to us a little bit about what shows you already appeared on.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what I've done first.
Okay.
I've been on WGGS a couple of times, and I've been on some radio things, interviews. One of the major ones I've done was Following Your Passions with Bernard Kearse, who's a lawyer and an author out of Atlanta. He's on, it's on Sandy Springs, I think. I've done that. What else have I done? I'll be on WSPA.
Right.
Thanks to the poem. You want me to tell you about that?
Go ahead.
Okay, I'll tell you about that. The way I got, there was, I was in Abbeville one day. I always carry my books with me. And I go in the Abbeville post office to mail mail a book to the instructor who was head of the nursing program at Lander, Mrs. Capers, when I was there and graduated in '75. And there's a man behind the counter, nice guy. This is in 2005, just before I was to be a vendor at the South Carolina Book Festival, coming up in February 2006. Mm-hmm. And I said, as I do, I said, you ought to come down there. I said, it's a nice thing, got about 60 or 100 authors, and I'm going to be there. You'd enjoy it. And he said, well, if I'm not in Iraq. I said, what you mean? He said, I'm gonna be in Iraq, probably. I've been called up. He's 53. And it touched me. So I went out to my car, and I wrote a poem called, I Was Called Up Today. And I took it back in, and I said, would you make me a copy of that? And made a copy. And I said, here, have a copy. And I gave him a hard copy of my book. Mm-hmm. And that little article was in the paper in Abbeville, which was very nice for that area. He went to Iraq. He was there, I think, a couple of years, maybe. And he actually came to my book signing before I went. And that's a picture
of
him.
Hold that up so you can zoom in on
Yeah, that was at a book signing I did in Abbeville, where he came and brought some other people, which was very nice of him. That's that. And then this one is a picture of him in Iraq.
Right.
And he's got all of his uniform on and with a Hummer.
Right.
And according to something his wife told me, she has a souvenir from his stay there where he almost was killed. Mm-hmm. The Hummer was hit, and she has some of the scrap from that hit. And his name is Wayne Scooter Brown. Hers is Robbie. And I wrote this poem, and you want me to share it?
Go ahead.
It's called I Was Called Up Today. Wayne Scooter Brown. I was called up today to serve the country I hold so dear. I was called up today to be an example of why and how we as a country are still here. I was called up today to serve with honor and to fulfill my due. I was called up today to protect our land, our children, and you. I was called up today to serve with all my heart, as from my land and family I will be a part. I was called up today to protect our land with honor and dignity. I will serve beneath my Father's hand and fulfill my destiny. Prayerfully I walk into an unknown land, and I walk in peace as I cling to my Father's hand. Well, that happened. And then from that, I got an opportunity to write a poem for Veterans Day there, and I wrote Honor Has a Name. Mm-hmm. And I read it, their Veterans Day, I think it was 2007 or 8, and on their steps when they have their get-together. And that's the poem that I sent to WSPA. Okay. And then they contacted me and asked me would I come and share it, and they would interview me about my writings. So that's how that came about. I'll end on that, but I thank you for having me, and I love what I do, as you can well see.
Yes, ma'am.
People on the street do not get me, but I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with doing what I passionately love and sharing, and I'm going to be the authentic me, and I'm going to go out there and keep writing and doing and being and write all that the Lord will let me. And thank you for having me so much. God bless
well,
you.
We appreciate you coming on, and I know you've been in a lot of places in the state. I know you've had a lot of experiences. Now you can add being on Greenwood Today with me is another one.
That's an honor.
Yeah, it is an honor. Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. Well, Miss Juanita Pittman Brown joined me today on another Greenwood Today book club. My name is Jonathan Graves. Once again, I'm a Greenwood Today's news reporter, and I am out.